Welcome to the day after. Not a very good one. This is Sportmentary, and joining me from Winnipeg is the Comish with another Bumblers recap.
Yeah, it was a bumbling game, that's for sure.
You know what? That was a game, the amount of times that they were in scoring position and interception after interception. It's my first instinct is to be all over Joey Elliott on that one because those were just bad interceptions. And they cost the Bombers the game. There's no doubt, however way you want to look at it, there's no doubt that cost the team the game. The defense played a very good second half and limited Calgary to basically no offense. But, I was reading something in the Free Press, and I don't know if you caught it this week. And I think it might be more telling than we think. But Burke, it was discussion on Joey Elliott, and Burke was kind of pressed on the issue of possibly having him as a starting quarterback going forward. And I don't know the exact quote, but it was something like, well, if he has another good game, there's a good chance that he could end up being the backup. Now, if you're a young kid who's looking for confidence, and your coach is saying that, basically saying you have no chance at a starting position, you're going to force the ball. That's just my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, it doesn't really give him the greatest confidence going into what was the biggest game of the season, but then again, if you think about Burke, maybe the psychology behind it is they're trying to keep Buck in the fold still. They don't want to lose him. You start pumping up Joey Elliott as starting quarterback. What does that do? A, for maybe if they try to use Buck Pierce as trade bait, or B, if they want him back next year. Because really, Joey Elliott does not look ready to assume a starting role at this point.
Not after having one great game and then...
No, he's too inconsistent. And last week we talked about this. Everybody was Joey Elliott Player of the Week, great, but he's yet to put back-to-back games together. And
all I say is that he should give a chance, because the more you play, the more you have games like this, the more you have chances to iron out those mistakes. And different league, but I look at my Minnesota Vikings in the NFL. I look at Christian Ponder, okay, and the season's still young this year, but the one glaring difference between Ponder last year and Ponder this year are the dumb mistakes, the interceptions and turnovers that the kid made. And he's limiting that, and they're winning games. And I don't care if you call him a manager of the game if they win, because that's all that matters. And I look at that and say, the reason that I think he could make that transition is the team said, this is our guy. The guy's going to go in there, he's going to fumble, he's going to throw interceptions, he's going to make mistakes, and we're going to keep him in there and he's going to learn from them. Or if he doesn't learn from them, then we'll know. That was the point I was trying to make with Elliott, is put him in there. He's going to make mistakes like he did yesterday, and it's a shame. But realistically, they had a very little chance to make the playoffs. So you just keep him in there and you let him make those mistakes. That's just my opinion.
I agree. I think Joey Elliott should play out the season. He should start the next, they have 3 or 4 games left. He should start them and see where he's at. Come training camp, he might be a different quarterback next year. And the other thing that the Bombers, I guess, have going for them is they've got some talent on offense. Chris Matthews, rookie of the year probably. He broke 1,000 yards. He's looking pretty good. Chad Simpson, you can build the team around his running. So it's not all hopeless out there. And even on defense, as bad as the defense was in the first half.
The first half was terrible.
I mean, and that was due to the turnovers in kind of the wrong places on the field, and but they did make the proper adjustments.
The problem in the first half was bad penalties, especially in the first quarter. Who's number 0?
Yeah, Johnny Sears has to
play.
There
you go. He was a big 0 in the first quarter, at least.
Well, so was Javon Johnson. He had a tough game.
Come on, I mean.
But I got to say that Marcellus Bowman, he looked outstanding. And we knew going into this game the Bombers would have a little problem with getting pressure on Kevin.
I look at the whole game, okay?
Well, look, the Bombers were playing without Alex Hall and Brian Turner on defense. Kevin Glenn has a quick release. It it was going to be tough for them to get pressure on him. Eventually they figured it out. They kind of held John Cornish in check. So overall, it was a good game. It was, like you were saying before we were speaking, it was a game the Bombers should have won. Joey Elliott took the heat for this one. He took the full blame, and he should.
I think definitely he should. And I look at the whole game, and I look at the defense, and the defense gave us a chance to win. When you're talking like something like 3 consecutive turnovers, you can't put that on the defense, even if points are scored. I mean, that to me, the defense did their job, and they did it more than adequately. They did a great job, and those turnovers, those injuries didn't seem to really, in the big scheme, affect the play of the defense that greatly.
I think it affected them in the first half.
Well, but I'm saying the whole game as a game, because you have 2 halves. You have one horrid half that they managed to kind of escape out. It could have been worse. But you had all the second half where the defense was to shut them down. And then you add in the fact throughout the game that the offense had something like 8 turnovers. And they gave up 33 points? I mean, I just think that's a great defensive effort.
There's no doubt the defense had a good, the defense can't be faulted for this one.
But I look at it, I don't know what happens in the dressing room, Comish. I really don't know what happens. I wish I knew more, but my point is, a coach can do 2 things. He can throw a guy to the wolves and say, now go get him, which it looks like he did. Even if you're a tough guy, you could say, look, you know that the coach wanted to put in Buck, right? It was obvious to everybody. I believe it was obvious. It was obvious to me. And this is almost like this is our backup plan, our plan B, right? So
yeah, I found the quote you're saying. He said, if Joey can have a really good game this week, certainly that would say to us as an organization, hey, we've got a pretty good backup here at least.
Right.
Yeah,
that what I'm saying is, first putting in Elliott was a plan B, and he was obvious about it, which doesn't give the QB a lot of confidence. And second, he gets a quote like that, which is just boneheaded, because you should say, you know what, I'm not going to entertain questions like this right now. We have the rest of the season to play. We'll address our quarterback situation as it develops. And I think I would have been fine with that, okay? Because as a coach, you do not have to answer a question, all right? You can deflect it. You do not owe everybody. If that's what you believe, please don't share it with us, okay?
I think it could be almost a rookie coach's error, because this Tim Burke prides himself on being, shooting from the hip and being a straight shooter. And sometimes when you're a straight shooter, you don't think about the effect that's going to have on your comments, the effect it'll have on the rest of the people listening.
But I expect our head coach to be able to be cool and calm at certain times. All right? I love his honesty, for the most part.
But that's what you get. He's honest.
I think the guy's got great potential as a head coach. All right?
I don't know about that. I've yet to see the great potential, but
I think he does, and I'm willing to give him some more time at it. I'm just looking at this game, and I'm saying that I think that, yes, Joey Elliott needs to look into himself and say he did not have a good game, and the game's on him. Because every developing quarterback will say that. They'll be honest with themselves. But also looking at another way, the coach sure didn't do him any favors,
No, that's not a good way to build up any confidence. And he, you know what, to be honest, he kind of played like a quarterback, especially in the red zone, without confidence. And it'll be interesting to see if he's going to get the start next week. I haven't heard what they're going to do, but this team is obviously in playing for training camp spots next year at this point. Playoffs are virtually out of the picture. And
virtually, right.
They should have been yesterday. They should have been, the Montreal game, it just shows Montreal's got problems on defense. Because Elliott was throwing wobbly balls in Montreal, and instead of being picked off, his receivers happened to be in the right place or open. Yesterday wasn't the same case. Although Calgary, a couple of interceptions, their players made nice catches in any event.
I still think that those interceptions are on Joey. This is about.
No, he took the blame. He took the fall. Let's just.
I mean, he moved the ball. Okay, literally, he would move the ball 50, 60 yards, interception, and these were interceptions. 2 of them in the end zone. All right. One of them, they were at the 10 or 8 yard line or whatever, 12 yard line. Definitely field goal potential. I would say at least 2 of them were field goal potentials, which means you have a shot at the end of the game.
Well, and who's calling the play for him? Maybe they're, work with the quarterback.
What? It's on the quarterback. I mean, on one of the end zone interceptions, Elliott's rolling out, and there's a receiver right open, right within the end zone, like the beginning of the end zone, like goal line. And he misses the guy, and the guy he eventually throws to is wide open, but then he lobs the ball intercepted, right? That is definitely, that's a learning experience for him, and that's on him. And I don't think you can blame it on the offensive coordinator in this game. And I'm hard on that guy. I don't think the guy should be back as OC. I'm with you on that. But I'm not going to blame him for this game. And where the opposite is, I think Burke deserves more of a chance. I blame him for this game. That's bottom line is we're out of the playoffs. And we probably knew that for the last few weeks. And what is this? This is going to be garbage ball for the next few weeks.
Well, for players playing for their livelihood and their careers, it should not be looked at as that. They still have a chance to, show they have heart and character and all that stuff. But it'll also give the Bombers a chance to look at some players and do some postseason evaluation early. So I think every team is usually a few players away from turning around. And here we have the Bombers at the crossroads. What are they going to do with Buck Pierce? What they decide to do with Buck Pierce will determine the fate of this team for next year.
Well, I want to ask you something. On that situation. The other teams know that he's injury prone, don't they?
I think it's well known. I think kindergarten kids know he's injury prone.
All right, so what value do you get from trading him? I mean, unless you just outright release the guy.
Oh yeah, there'll be no trade. I mean, I kind of was being joking around when I said they could trade him, but he's not going to be traded anywhere. He's either released or they're going to tie the wagon to him again. But again, either Tim Burke's a company man and was told at all costs, you gotta let the fans know Buck's the starter for whatever reason, or he really doesn't see anything in Joey Elliott as being having starting potential, which doesn't say much about Alex Brink or Justin Gaultz, but the Bombers are in trouble at the quarterback position. Unless they're prepared to invest some time into turning one of these guys into the next starter.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up here soon. But I'm going to ask you, for some of our viewers that might be American, explain the crossover playoff spot for us.
You want me to explain the crossover at this point? Does it matter?
Just very briefly, the gist of it.
8 teams in the league. The top 4, there's 6 teams that make it, but the bottom 2 teams, in this case, for instance, Winnipeg and Hamilton, have worse records than Edmonton does in the West. So if Edmonton finishes with a better record than Hamilton or Winnipeg, Edmonton would cross over from the West into the East to get the final playoff spot. Does that explain it?
So then all 4 teams in the West, BC, Calgary, and Saskatchewan, Edmonton would make the playoffs, and only Montreal and Toronto in the East would make the playoffs.
Yes, if the season ended today, Edmonton would be in, Winnipeg and Hamilton would be out because they they'd be the...
Okay, so here's the deal. We have 3 games remaining. We're at 4-11, and Edmonton's at 7-8. So if Edmonton finishes at 7-11 and we finish at 7-11 and Hamilton finishes lower than that, I don't see Winnipeg making the playoffs anyway. So it's a done deal. We can try and play spoiler. You know,
Here, the combination of an Edmonton win or a Winnipeg loss basically kills the...
I am not an Eastern Division guy. I'll be honest with you. Winnipeg has to play in there because we're centrally located, and who else are they going to pick from the West? We used to be in the West. I'm a Western guy. If Ottawa comes back into the CFL, which it looks like they are now, Winnipeg hopefully is in the West. I'm a West Division guy. I hope if the Bombers don't make it, every West Division team makes it.
Oh, there's a good chance that's going to happen.
So Winnipeg needs to finish out and dethrone some team here. They have to play strong so Hamilton doesn't make it. Hamilton has a better shot, very outside chance, but Hamilton's got a shot, if they finish out with wins. But I don't think Edmonton's going to lose 3 straight games.
What a disaster that would be if Hamilton didn't make it after going out and getting Henry Burris, because he was thought to be kind of the savior there. But maybe it looks like Calgary knew what they were doing and getting rid of him. In any event, there's only one team wins the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
Bombers were there last year. It doesn't look good this year. I don't know if there's hope for next year, but...
Well, I don't know. We've had some games this year that they've surprised us. That actually segues into, do we even do a prediction for next week?
I think it's kind of hard to do a prediction when we don't know who's starting. We don't know where the team is at mentally.
Well, it's a prediction, win or lose.
I don't even know who they play. I was so despondent.
Toronto, I believe.
Oh, is it in Toronto?
No, at home.
Oh, they just played Toronto at home.
Why? Maybe I have the wrong week here. That wouldn't be surprising for me, but... In
any event, whoever they play...
but no, seriously, I think, what are we? Week 15 or something? I don't know. What are we? I don't know. Calgary just played at Winnipeg, right? Oh, actually, I have this wrong. Sorry to everybody listening that you have to listen to me. We do play Toronto, but it's in Toronto.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I had that flipped up. Sorry about that. I had that flipped wrong. I just read it wrong. So we do play Toronto in Toronto. So I say it's another big fat loss. I don't know how much, and I don't care at this point.
No, there's no doubt they will lose next week. They don't play well in Toronto, and there's no consistency on this team. So,
maybe Winnipeg could ship out 6 fans, so we double up. It'd be 6 Bomber fans to 3 Argonaut fans. We have a total of 9 in the stadium or something, and then they can play like they do in the NFL stadiums. The crowd going crazy, make it look like there's people. They can put these fake dummies in the seats or something.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
All right. Anyway, on that note, we'll see you everybody next week. We'll see you next week, Mish. Go Bombers! There's a lot of thrill in my voice, but I'm just down. It's just all.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like I said, I wasn't getting too excited after last week's game. I said, show me 2 games in a row, then I'll be happy. But they just showed their youthful enthusiasm.
All right. Well, it's just disappointing. You get up and you think they have a chance at this, and they laid an egg.
Heeded my warnings. Anyway.
All right. We'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.
Take care.